Yes.
I'd like to welcome.
Welcome to season 3, Daddy's Podcast. What you say, bud?
I like to welcome. I was doing what he said. Daddy's Podcast. You know what I'm saying? That's a good song you picked, man.
How you come up with that, man? We were sitting here talking about it.
When you asked for a song, he said it instantly, too.
Instantly, he came
That's
up
my
with
Alpha
it.
theme record, G. I don't do much for Alpha. So when I do Alpha stuff, I always use that record.
Them brothers of Alpha Alpha.
You know?
That's what it is. That's what we
There
do.
they
Welcome,
go.
season 3, Daddy Podcast.
sir.
I
We
have a
back,
nut.
baby.
Yes,
We
we
back.
are. My
Yes,
man, Pup.
yes.
What's up with you, brother? Here we go again.
Mr. Jackson, how are you, sir?
Marcus Garvey. That's what we've
Sir,
been doing.
T-Birds, baby.
T-Birds.
Long time. Long
Yeah.
time.
We
Very
got our
seldom do you
guest.
find cats in kindergarten all the way to 12th
Tell 'em,
grade.
tell 'em,
That's
bud.
Still
Tell 'em.
hanging,
man. I
you know what I'm
salute
saying?
that, man. We got
Still
long-term
tough,
relationships.
grew up in
Long
the
term,
same neighborhood.
yeah. I
Yes,
still
sir.
keep in
Salute that.
contact
That's
with
one of
mine.
the
Yes,
best
sir.
things about being in Chicago,
Yes, sir,
man.
man. That's the best, man.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Got my best homie sitting next to me.
Man,
Yes,
you know
sir.
what I'm saying?
Dig that.
Ask
And I
him, get
got
you
my
that.
best homie next to me.
There we go.
That's how we rock.
Hey, when I talked to two, he said, "E, that's my brother."
Yeah.
That's what he told me.
Yeah.
That's my real life brother right there.
Real live brother.
Yes,
For
sir.
sure.
Yes, sir. Toussaint. Got E with me. Elemuel.
Elemuel.
See, I didn't even want to say it. I was,
Yeah.
I was
You
doing
know,
that
I'm a
him
try.
It's crazy.
You know I'ma
people
try.
go
You know
go
I'ma
years
try.
with knowing your nickname and your middle name, and you hit them with your first name. They're like, where'd that come from? So that's what happened today.
Yeah.
So it's
Darkest
Elemuel.
regions of
Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah.
Hey, and shouts out to your mom too, man, with that story.
Oh,
brother.
yeah.
Yes, sir. She
Dope
told
story.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Talking about them brothers of Alpha. I have two of my brothers with me of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Yes, sir. We out here.
One time for the Alphas. I'm the only oddball out in this mother.
06,
You know what I'm
06.
saying? One time for these guys, man.
Kindergarten right here, period.
That
I'ma put it
supersedes all that.
That supersedes
Yeah.
that. You know what I'm saying? I love Alpha Alpha, but that's Miss Gilbert class. Come on, man. We outside.
Shout out to Miss Gilbert.
Teachers in the house. But talk about that Alpha, man. What made you all pledge? We had, 5 fraternities we could have chosen, but you all chose the ice coldest fraternity, Alpha Alpha. Talk to me. Anybody want to take that question? What made you?
He did it because I did. I
That
was an
ain't,
idol.
that
I
ain't true.
went-
That ain't true.
Did y'all enter Eastern at the shout out to Eastern Illinois University one time to the
Right
Peppers
on,
out
right
there?
on.
Yes, sir. Did y'all know each other before y'all pledged?
Yes.
He pledged, absolutely.
Yes. Yes, we did. So we stayed in the same dorm. So to your initial question, what was the question?
What made you all pledge Alpha Phi Alpha?
So
fraternity?
before I got to Eastern, where I met you all, I went to Lewis University. I didn't know anything about Greek life. So when I got there, seeing people stepping and doing stuff on campus, I'm like, man, this is dope. So I reached out to one of the brothers that was walking around campus. He was an Alpha. Well, he is an Alpha. And
Who was that?
his name is Mike. I can't remember Mike's last name. Mike, if you see this, man, forgive me.
Is that Lewis?
This is at Lewis University.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it was actually 2 brothers, so it was at Lewis.
Okay.
That's where I went my freshman year.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So I transferred
okay.
into Eastern in 95.
Okay.
So if I didn't say that, my apologies. So I got there and I met this brother and I'm like, hey, I want to be part of y'all organization. And he was like, man, that's dope. I appreciate it, but look around. Look at all the organizations, find one that fits you, your personality, and what represents you. You know, right? So I knew then it was Alpha.
Okay.
But I ended up leaving Lewis because my grades were bad. So I had to go home. Went to South Suburban for 2 years and got my associates, then went to Eastern. But in my mind, I'm like, man, I still want Alpha. But when I got to Eastern, man, I didn't see any of you all. So this where this relationship established, our friendship. So they stayed down the hall. I didn't know
What hall we in?
Thomas.
Thomas Hall?
Thomas, where everybody was playing Big Wiz in the lobby. So 2, I didn't even know 2 was going through a process. But then one day I find out, because again, I didn't see any Alphas on campus. But then since this is my friend, and I'm like, oh, when I found out he was going through the process, I'm like, man, you my in. You my end. You need to introduce me to brothers because I am interested.
And 2 was already in the process?
No, he was going through the process.
Oh, he was going through the process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's how. But I've always wanted. I looked at all the organizations, respect to all the organizations.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
This was more. This connected to me more. So
yeah.
dig that.
Definitely.
Yeah, you got a real story. I don't got a real
He was jumped in.
I was just bored.
He had nothing to do. It's Friday.
Friday. I got nothing to do. No, man.
No, that's terrible.
Whatever. I'm honest. You can't say that else. I'm
Yeah.
honest.
And you're consistent.
Nah, but real talk, I got an older cousin named Mel Warner, and Mel has always been like, Mel is who I looked to when I was growing up for everything, right?
Okay.
Mel hooped. Mel was on the ladies. Mel was everything I wanted to be when I was a shorty. You know what I mean? So he was the first guy I knew who was engaged in anything around fraternity. He was an alpha. Then I got to school. Hadrian's my blood cousin, so
Hadrian, that's
it was
right.
Hadrian.
Shout out Hadrian. Yes,
I
sir.
never looked at Hadrian like in a, idolizing kind of way. So it wasn't about Hadrian. But in truth, though, it really was like I was just a creative. I was a curious kid, and I just wanted to know what the hell went on behind closed doors. Really, that's all it really was. And then once it started, I was like, you ain't finna make me stop. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not
Right.
my ego involved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's really.
Oh, okay, cool. You know what, man? Just send a shout out to these guys. It was SS Octagon for me. And I saw these 8 guys, and 4 of them I knew from Julian. Their captain name is Greg, so that was like my namesake. Then they had 2 was Derek. 2 was Ron. 3 is my trade cub, Derek. 4 was my player's father, Larry, and that's the one I really connected with. Larry, that's my player's father. Yes, then 5 was Vok. 6 was Bailu. 7 was Vok, Julian.
Vok.
Yeah.
DJ.
Dog. 7 was Darius.
Darius?
Darius Brown was 7. Yeah. So, and then Eric was 8. So 4 out of those 8 guys came from Julian. So I knew them from Julian. And then when I just saw them moving around at Eastern Illinois, that's what kind of gave me the inkling. Because I didn't really know anything about the Greek life, college life until
Check
I went
out
there.
how the world
Yes,
worked,
sir.
though. You had to be a Julian when Donald was at Julian. Band Donald, who
Yep.
ended up missing.
Yep.
That was my cousin Mel's best friend.
Get out of here.
Best
Man,
friend.
do you know we still wonder, because what was that, Tennessee State?
He went to
Never
Louisiana.
found
It was
him.
Louisiana or
Never
something.
Never found him.
They never found him.
Donald used to be
Never
in my
found
house
him.
every day. It's just
He
funny how
was
the world
when
is.
He was the band major.
The
and he
band
was
major,
cool
yes,
with it,
yes,
too,
yes.
man. With
Never
doing
found
that
him.
walk.
When did he
Man.
disappear? His freshman
That's
year
Mel's-
or what?
My
Was it his
cousin
freshman
Mel, the
year?
guy I just spoke about, that was his best friend.
Wow.
Was that his freshman year, though, he disappeared?
It was his freshman year.
You got to figure. What was
Never
that?
found
That
him,
was in
man.
the
Never
80s?
found him.
That was in the 80s, though, right? He went down to Louisiana.
It would have had to been the late
Yeah.
80s because Mel.
That shit
Yeah, I
was
would say
look-
like 87,
That shit was
88,
different
right?
down there
Yeah.
then. That shit was different. So they never found him either, man.
Man. Yep. Damn, that is 7 degrees of separation.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
sir.
wild.
Yep, definitely. Did you all find like a brotherhood within there? But once you got into Alpha, did you make those connections or those brotherhoods of, people that you really found what you was looking for as far as a brotherhood?
You want me to answer this?
You can go first this time. I mean, I'm gonna answer it, but I'm just saying.
You don't know what's gonna come
I think
out
that's
of
a nice
One thing
production
you know
flow.
about you, you gonna get the truth. You know that. Talk to us, too.
I wouldn't put this out here before I answer any more Alpha 5. I wasn't looking for nothing. It legitimately was curiosity, right? So in the context of how other people might experience it, like, my ships or the people I was online, but I don't talk to none of them. You know what I mean? Do I have that brotherhood? Sure. My roommate through the duration of college was Kerry. That's one of my other brothers in D, right? And we thick as thieves, right? These are the godfathers of my children. You know what I mean? But neither of them was online with me. You know what I mean? And them relationships, although Alpha might have been the staple in which brought us together, it formed just because we had a certain kind of energy and vibe that connected us. You know what I mean?
That's real.
Yeah.
That's so real.
So I can't say I was necessarily looking for a brotherhood either. Who I am by nature, I make friends. Like, I'm the only child. I was born the only child, raised the only child. But I've always been that person that extended myself to make a friend, right? So if you ask me why I joined the fraternity, Maybe doing some of the events, the social events, the camaraderie, but it just wasn't the driving factor, right? But as a result of that, I've connected with a lot of brothers that we have good memories and moments, and let me be total transparent. Even though we're talking about the brotherhood of Alpha, we're black men first. So I've met brothers in other organizations, right? Based off in my career, one of the biggest opportunities I had came from a brother from Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, right? So I think sometimes people get caught up in the whole, like, I'm an Alpha or I'm a Q. But, I always like to think that I'm a black man first, so I lead with that. And I think sometimes people get that, they lose that message, right? But as Tu mentioned, Tu is my best friend, my boy Kerry that we mentioned. Could I have met them at the university and developed a friendship the way it is now? Maybe. But I doubt it. Because we were in the fraternity together, like Tu said, our personalities kind of formed that, and it's been dope because we do have a true brotherhood. I think it supersedes friends, and this is my family. So I think if you ask any organization, that's not going to be unusual, but that's my story, so.
Yeah. Great
Damn.
story. Yeah.
Man, I should have went to college, man.
You should have.
I should have went to college, dog.
You should have.
There was a lot of shit I missed out on.
You did.
I did, man.
Hey, man.
I did. I mean, because goddamn, man, I've never heard it broke down in this manner that you guys are breaking it down with the fraternities and stuff. I was always on the outside looking in because my life was in the streets. And Greg will tell you. So that college, man, I should have went to fucking college, man. Damn, I come back again, I'm going to school. I'm going to college.
I'm sure, brother. I just met you. I'm sure if you really think, and you probably don't even have to think hard. With the exception of this brother, you got those relationships too.
Oh, I do, but
you just didn't get it through the avenue of college.
I didn't. You know what I'm saying? And it's just,
Challenge it though, bro.
huh?
I'm
Of course you are.
that. I am. I really am though.
Okay,
Because
let
I
me
played in
hear.
the streets too. Like
Right.
that's, you know what I mean? Before I went to college, I got kicked out the crib and I had to spend the rest of my high school years in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, right? Iowa saved my life in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
It was the road for me to go to college. Had I stayed here, college wouldn't happen.
See,
know
but
what I
you
mean?
went to school. I never went to school. I never went to college after high school.
I'm saying I went to Cedar Rapids first.
Yeah, you
Which
went to
changed
Cedar
my
Rapids, but
behavior set.
it changed your behavior.
Right.
But your behavior changed, and then you went to college.
No, I agree, and that's what I'm saying. I'm challenging you a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like I agree with you 100%. I'm challenging the idea that the answer that D gave, right? Because
Okay.
it is a different experience. My son just graduated recently. He decided he didn't want to go to school, and I think the world is changing, so I adapted to that a little bit. But I do think the relationships that you garner in that setting are very different than when you garner anywhere else, and they ain't got nothing to do with fraternity. It just has to do with the experience.
Yeah.
Right. You're
Yeah,
in
yeah.
between adulthood and childhood at the end of the day, right?
Yeah,
But you don't have
yeah.
the responsibilities of an adult, but you're still moving and acting like an adult. So the way you build them bonds is kind of different. and even beyond, this brotherhood, I got a brotherhood with a bunch of brothers that is very different than the homies I got from the
Right,
crib.
right.
You know what I mean? It's very different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that what he said earlier when we talking about we was from kindergarten and how we got our brotherhood, he said that. At
Yeah,
the
he
beginning.
did.
That's very
He
important.
did.
You
He
know what I'm
did.
saying?
Yeah,
So
it's-
it's so many different ways that
man.
you form relationships with people. Like with my ship over here in the building now. Shout out to Byron.
What up, B Bonds?
You know, B
Buns.
Buns. You know, gotta check us out.
Hey, he wanted the silver fox. This dude, you
Don't say that.
He wanted the silver foxes, dog. You can't hide it, big dog.
Oh my God.
I mean,
That man
he's
head
so
to fall off his
cool.
shoulders right now.
Silver
Hey man, you just done changed his walk up out of here, man. He gonna be walking out of here different. All you need is one of them hats, them big hats. I'm gonna show my ignorance because I know it's a formal name for them, but all you need is one of them big hats in a bright color suit.
Man, dog, I like that, man.
Y'all know my ship code. That's what it is. That's
He is though.
He
I had a
is
crush on
definitely,
this
brother.
chick down in Easter, right? She was in love with that dude.
with Byron.
In love with him.
With Byron. I already knew when I
Wrong
said this
with
was
you.
going to end. I already knew. You cool, laid back. Yeah, shout out to B-Bars. Yes, sir. But I want to go to something that's really dear to me. with Daddy's podcast, right? So I had lost my son due to gun violence. And I had like this insecurity of what I didn't do, you know, feeling like a failure, so on and so forth, which was one of the driving energies I had to put together a podcast, right? And so I like to take time to talk about fathers. And I wanted to ask you all, was it any fathers that you would like to send a shout out to for helping shaping you into the man that you are, or if it's just a message that you just want to send the fathers out, period?
You want to go? Rock, paper, scissors? Nah, I'll go.
What is going to be said?
Well, first of all, I want to send a shout out to my own father. I think I'm understanding your question right, but a shout out to my father, who was around when I was a baby up until maybe 12. And then after that, all through high school, no communication. We didn't have cell phones back then, emails, so we really didn't have any communication. You know, he moved to Mississippi, so, you know, that's what it was. But outside of that, I was blessed to have men in my life who played a strong role in who I am today, just to make it simple, right? So, to know this about me, but I was one of those young men. I was born in Parkway Gardens, moved to 55th and Walcott, 72nd and Bennett. But I was one of those young men raised by my mother and my grandmother who, man, they're no longer here with me physically, but in spirit they are. But those two women instilled a lot in me, right? And one of the most powerful things that my mom did is she consciously and subconsciously put me in positions where I can evolve as a young man, or a boy to a young man, and then a man. So to your question, just wanted to give you a little texture around that, right? So she was strategic enough to allow me to play in sports. So I had coaches. Shout out to Clifton Turner. He was my grade school coach, and when I went to Leo High School basketball, he checked up on me, made sure, you know, not only was I doing good on the court, but just keeping me honest with my behavior and stuff like that. So I had coaches to speed it up. I had coaches, teachers, moms, boyfriends at the time. One in particular, he was an extreme introvert, man, but he always took time to just talk to me. He wasn't a big talker, but he talked to me. He paid interest, paid attention to things that was interesting to me, basketball, video games. But my mom and him stopped dating. But I reached out to him. I sought him out as a man and went back to him. Now, we're talking about from 87. After 87, I didn't talk to him anymore until 2 years ago. So 87 until 2022.
Damn.
So you just sought him out a couple years ago.
I reached out to him because I kept in contact with his daughter. His daughter and I are pretty cool. And I was like, man, listen, I need to see your dad. And she was like, for what? And I was like, man, I just want to talk to him to tell him thank you. Because as a young man, I'm seeking and I'm observing. I made like a Voltron of men. You know, I didn't have a man consistently present, but there were certain men that as I got older, I remembered the presence that they had in my life. And I just kind of, and they weren't perfect men, right? But there were certain things about them that my spirit identified as the kind of man that I wanted to be. Wow. Right? So the one thing about this particular man is, even though, I mean, he was a hard worker, man, but I remember on Fridays, we used to go to the little local pizza place and would buy me pizza while my mom was at work or at school. And we go back, he'll rent a game for me from the video store.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I reached out to him 2 years ago, and he was like, why were you looking for me? And And I was like, man, I just wanted to say thank you for being kind to me, for being present. And I knew that these things that I like to do that you showed interest, I knew you ain't have any interest in, but you did it for me. Wow. And more than anything, he was kind. Mm. And it's a lot of stories we hear, unfortunately, in our communities where people invite people in their life and dating, and they're not kind to the kids.
Hell no.
They're not kind. And when you don't have that, it's a terrible thing, but I was blessed to have it. So I know I'm being kind of long-winded. I'm aware of the time, but there were other men. My mom's husband, my mom passed in 2018, but her husband at the time, no, I appreciate that, man. But he was present. There were some things about him. He wasn't perfect either, but there were some things about him that I latched on to. You know, he was a loving man. He was a patient man. And again, this is somebody who wants to be a man. I know I'm evolving into manhood, but I don't know how to do it. So I'm just observing and I'm picking. And the last man I'll mention is Toussaint's father. So I met him when we were in college. And man, there's several things. I don't want to take up too much of the time, but the one thing that I remember about him, this man of character, was he challenged me to own who I am and who I say I am. In the beginning, I didn't like him because that was something that was very uncomfortable for me.
I like him either,
I purposely saved him for that. I purposely saved your father. That was him. I purposely saved him because I thought it would, for production purpose, I thought it would be a good transition.
How we get through this podcast?
But yeah.
He didn't like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I want to finish the Toussaint.
Yeah.
Because I really want to hear this.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so when I first met him, I was trying to evolve spiritually, right? And I remember I came in there, and I feel like I just recently told you the story. But when I met him, he had on a robe. He was in front of the oven making some crab cakes and drinking some wine, and probably listening to some Thelonious Monk or something. I mean, just the epitome of cool, right? Uh-huh. So he's challenging me on something. He's asking me questions like we would do to our sons, our son's friends. Who are you? Where do you go to school? And blah, 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 blah. So he's asking me questions, and he's asking them in a way that is challenging me. And I'm thinking he's, like gaslighting me or something. Like, I'm thinking he's like really just, like you said, picking at me. But the reality of it was, as I realized later on, and I developed a relationship with this man who I looked at as a father, all he was doing was saying, hey man, listen, if you say this about yourself, if this is what you believe it. You know, do your research, do your due diligence, but if this is what you believe, it don't matter what I say or how I say it, because it was really about how he was saying it. Mm-hmm. You know, and the truth of the matter is he believed some of the things I was believing, but in my mind in that moment, I'm thinking like, this man don't believe in God. But later on in life, we have a conversation. I'm like, man, I thought you did. He's like, man, I never told you that.
Nice.
He's like, I just wanted to make sure you believed it. I know what I believe.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure you believed it. So again, man, that man was so rich, and the things that I feel is missing in our community. I mean, he was rich with all of that, and I'll end it there.
Yeah, just father figures, period, is missing in our community.
Yeah, man.
There's a whole lot of shit that's missing in our communities.
I'm going to challenge that, too.
Come on,
I am.
challenge.
Oh, hey, he's going to do this all day.
Yeah. I want to challenge
that.
you too.
I seen that. You
But
know?
what I do want to say, before I forget this, I like that you said a Voltron. You took a Voltron of men to make your man, right? Your father figure. And I heard kindness, I heard loving, and I heard challenging. And I think that
and
those
patient.
You heard, what else did you
Patient.
say?
Patience. You
Patience.
forgot about that?
Yeah, okay.
I think that's a big
I just
one.
think those are awesome, you know. I don't know what word I want to say, but aspects of a man, you know.
You would
That
catch
makes up a
that
man.
too. It figures you would catch that.
Yeah,
You'll
yes,
catch
sir.
that.
Yes, sir, man.
You
That was
know.
because, you know what? I kind of grew up thinking that men was like rough, tough. You do what I say, this, that, you know, and
Yeah.
just to hear that a man can be respected if he kind, loving, challenging, and patient. I just thought those were
There's the other side of them,
incredible
man.
adjectives.
That's the
Yeah.
soft side, as they say. That's
Yeah.
the soft side.
It gives us balance.
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother. You got something you want to say. You want to say something. Go ahead.
We
Go ahead.
multi-dimensional human beings, G. And I think that even the conversation we having supersedes manhood. We have to also include blackness,
Yes.
right? We think we only have the room to show up in one capacity. Fuck out of here,
Right.
right? One of you know, D talked about my daddy. I was privileged, right? I grew up in a neighborhood of probably 12 homies. I was the only one with a father. So he played father to all 12 of them boys. Even when I got into bullshit and had to leave, I call a crib and my boys be over there like, yeah, your daddy finna take me to get my license. It was that kind of shit going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He played daddy to every man in that neighborhood, you know, for the duration of his life in reality. But he also built a village for me of other men. And them other men didn't look like him. Right, it was dope fiends in that village. It was alcoholics in that village. It was street hustlers in that village. It was pimps. And I mean, real pimps. You know what I mean? Real street. You know what I'm saying? I had the whole gamut. You know what I mean? And I appreciated the whole gamut. And as a young man, if I'm being real honest, probably because of the media, probably because of narratives, probably because of what cool looked like, the street dude, the pimp, they all was more appealing to me.
Man.
Right? Fuck what you talking about. I done
Right.
seen Smokey make some moves that I idolize.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's probably created a level of contention for me and my father early. You know what I mean? I said I got in trouble, had to move to Iowa. It's funny, people think it was like some scared straight shit. It really wasn't. Right? It wasn't. My old man was just honest. He was like, look, you want to be a criminal, nigga, I can't teach you that. Go live with my brother who is.
Oh, shit.
If you're going to be that, be the best you can be at it, and I can't teach you
Wow.
how to be that. Right? And I respect that. Because that's real. You know what I mean? If you choosing this path, let me put you in the
'Cause
best.
I can't
I
teach
had
you
that
that.
same
Best
conversation with my
decision that he
son
could.
now.
Yeah,
Like, if
yeah.
you're going to play these games, learn from who know how to play these games. I don't know how to play these games. You know what I mean? So even when I'm laughing at D, and I was like, man, I ain't like him in the beginning either. But imagine whatever challenge he gave D at 19 or whenever. I came here with them challenges. Like, I tell D stories like, I remember I'd be like 4 or 5 years old. My bedroom was like really like a closet when I was a shorty, right? You remember them old folding doors in the closet?
Yeah.
You come in and out that every day. That shit's coming off the hinges. It just is what it is, right? I might have been 4 or 5. This is a true story. That damn door came off that hinge. You like, I tell you what, when I get home, that shit better be fixed. Motherfucker, I'm 4. What is you talking about? You cannot be serious. You know what I mean? But legitimately, 2, 3 in the morning, he come in the crib, that door wasn't fixed.
It was some
Show
shit.
ass up.
Get up.
Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You understand
Yeah.
me? Like, it'd be all kind of little shit. Like, I was changing brakes and rotors by the time I was 12. I wasn't driving. What the fuck? I'm changing brakes and rotors. You know what I mean? But I do the same things to my son today. Because at 25, I began to appreciate all that shit. Right? But I had to make it to 25 to see the value of it.
You had to make it to 20.
I had to make it to 25.
Make it to
And even before I go any further, man, I want
Alright.
to resend my condolences because I know I've done it before. But I've been thinking about you and Lil Greg a lot because I got a 20-year-old son. And this city, man, is a war zone, and it's very interesting, Mike, because we're in the midst of it. You know what I mean? And I can have whatever perspective I want. He's walking through it.
Yeah.
Right? And how I navigated, because it was a war zone, we were shorties. But how I navigated it don't necessarily take the same tools for him to navigate it. You know, it's just some real interesting shit. So even when you started, like, you know, I blame myself, man, I worry about that shit every day.
Every day.
Right? And I give it my all every day, but it's so much stuff that's out of control. Just like I said, even though he had built a village for me, I idolized the dudes who was getting it. Right? And I'm not even saying that's a wrong thing, but there's
It's just what we seen.
but
it's
it's
just
so
what we
much
seen growing up.
context behind that,
Yeah.
right? That ain't no different than any other community. You're going to gravitate to what you deem is successful,
Yep. Yep.
right? But when you add in racism and the barriers that it creates on black masculinity, it's very difficult not to idolize the dude in the street because he's the only one you know winning.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the context of what
Yeah.
we deem as winning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me to get to 25, have my own children, start seeing the world different, what I value became different.
Yeah.
So I can value my own man differently. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
a very interesting thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very interesting thing.
Yeah.
You know?
That is.
That almost sounds like the Bronx Tale, the movie The Bronx Tale story.
Very similar.
Him and Sonny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he walked, hey man, you stay away from my son. And he's like,
Yeah.
man, your son coming to me, John.
Yeah.
But in that
And the
same
way he
vein,
looked like he was,
Sonny
what
had
did he
value in
say?
his life, too.
What did he say? The working man is a sucker.
Yeah.
He said
Working
the
man is a
working man
sucker.
is a sucker.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And he didn't value at the time
Yeah.
who
I
his
still
father
believe that,
was.
though. The working man's a sucker, but it just gives you context.
Right.
Yeah, because I joined the sucker field at 34.
Yeah.
You know, it took a lot.
Look, I got a son and a
Because
daughter.
I was wondering how you saw, like, seeing all them people on the street after two was saying that because you was there, you know, touching them. So I knew you had a very unique aspect at that when you saw men.
Yeah, you know, and it was more structure back then. Like now, it's no structure. That's why the kids is so just out of control. I mean, whether it was good structure or bad structure.
What do you mean by structure?
Structure is it was like
I mean, I think I know what you mean,
if
but
you had a problem with the kids standing out on your block selling drugs, this old lady didn't like these kids standing out on her block doing whatever, selling drugs, whatever. She can go to that region. She can go to that gang member that run them, and you know what that motherfucker gonna tell them? Hey man, get the fuck up off her block. Y'all take that shit somewhere else.
yeah.
It was some kind of loyalty, and I'm not saying this to justify on what it was growing up, but now it's none of that.
So with, like, when you say structure, I think, like, Fred Hampton being eliminated.
Yes, they take out anybody that's positive for the
even
black
Hoover,
community.
Jeff Ford,
They gonna
Dr.
wipe them
King,
right on
Malcolm
out.
X. It's like that structure has been
Yeah.
eliminated.
It-
I
it's
think
gone.
a lot of people that we kind of
So
like
I'm
listen to
challenge
as
y'all
leaders.
again.
Okay, come on, brother.
Right. I hear the structured conversation. But I think one of the essences of masculinity is barriers and borders. Right? Femininity is a freedom. Right? I just talked about my own man. He said, fix this goddamn door. I'm like, man, I'm full. But when he come in the house,
That
I
motherfucker
expect
better
the
be
fucking door
fixed.
to be fixed. Nah, I can't fix that door. I'm full. Right? But he wanted to put a concept in my mind that when I make a rule, there's a rule. And you're going to stand behind that rule. I don't want to hear your excuses, but if you don't stand behind that rule, you're going to deal with said consequences. It just is. Right? My mama, I could have bullshitted that door for 2 years. It just is what it is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's not about the gang structure, it's the communal structure. And what masculinity means, in my honest opinion, I think there's a bunch of coward men out here. And I don't even think they understand that they're cowards. I think we're being preached the idea that turns us into cowards, which we can also revert back to racism. Because they don't never want to see you in no position of polarity of manhood, because that working man and sucker conversation gets very real, and you start looking at the world through a very different lens.
Yes.
Right? So I'm giving Hoover could have came down my block. If my daddy was out there, he don't mean shit to him. Cause this my block.
Yeah.
What's your stature? What's your status?
So-
I'm a grown man. And therein lies the barrier. Period.
Yeah.
I don't know if I got lost. I was looking for the coward.
So
where
again, how we quantify masculinity today, it's almost a bad term. Right? But my wife laughs at me all the time. They laugh at me all the time. Right? Like I'm block security or some shit. But ain't nothing happening outside my house that I'm not engaged in. Right? And I live amongst the bullshit. You know what I mean? But you can't even move away from the bullshit. Because I live in a $500,000 home and it's in the bullshit. That's not even logical. Right? There's $1 million homes next door to me and they're in the bullshit too. That's not logical. So what the story says is you can't run from the bullshit.
Can't run from it.
So
You're
are
right.
you telling me, am I hearing you that you're physically outside, and if something's going
If some
on
shit
your
is
block,
yeah,
you're out
I'm in
there
it. We
confronting,
in it.
talking
We
to?
gonna deal with this. Yeah.
That's
However
excellent,
we
bro.
got to deal with it.
That is what. So how do you approach these men so they don't feel like intimidated that you're coming
Right.
to
No,
stop
I want
their
you to be
money, or
intimidated.
Well, that's
said
how
what?
do you
I
start
want
that
you to be
conversation?
intimidated.
So
With
you
these
go
young-
you go to them with the concept of I'm gonna intimidate you, and they
I
respect
go with
that.
them to whatever language you can understand.
man, these young cats breed different, man.
That's the fear I'm talking about. I'm
these
breeding
young
different. I'm
cats
bred different
breed
too. Though.
Different though.
That's the man.
See,
Look,
but
I
they
believe
feel
that
they
when
don't
men stand
give a
up,
fuck
boys
about
stand
that.
down. I believe that. And I've never seen it play out any different.
Hold on. Repeat that. What
I
did you
believe
just say?
when men stand up, boys stand down. And I don't see it any
Well,
different.
what about when I see like a 16-year-old boy shot and killed a 50-year-old man? To me, that's
Fucked
like a piece of evidence that the boy don't bow down to the man, in my opinion.
See, therein lies the context of what it means to be a man in general, though. What's
Okay.
your value here, though, right? There's a conversation that Amos Wilson has, which is a black scholar. And he said the only value that man has in general on this planet, right, is to be the protector of the woman, right?
Okay.
The only intrinsic value men have is, one, to understand the environment in which you inherited and protect your woman from it.
Yes.
Right? So that we can keep creating children. Right? Only intrinsic, actually he says we don't have any intrinsic value. Right? But your value is understanding the environment you inherit and protecting the next, I say your woman, but it's really the next generation. Right? So I understand the environment I've inherited. This is sickness out here. If I'm healthy, I can't allow sickness in my house. I can't allow sickness in my neighborhood. And as far as my reach can go, I got to keep healing sickness. Through whatever mechanisms I got to use to heal sickness. And if my life is at the expense of that, then so fucking be it, because I'm here for the next generation.
Man, that's gangster. That's so hard, bro. That's so hard.
But it's a reality. It's not even hard. It's what you're here for.
No, man, that is, bro.
Right? It's what
that
the lion
You-
is here for his pride for. It's what the gazelle is here for his pride for. We ain't no different.
Yeah.
But we cowards, and we won't step to the plate of our responsibility. So what we deem as our responsibility is going to work, shutting our door, making sure our kids are safe. But you can't make sure your kids are safe. I just said, it's a $500,000, $1 million, right? Contextually, you say, I would be away from the bullshit. You're not.
Yeah.
They on the same bus stops. They go to the same grocery store. You're not. You cannot get away from it. So you have to take a different approach. And the approach you have to take is being what a man is supposed to be in the environment in which he inherited.
Yeah. Real talk.
I understand the coward shit that you're saying, because the coward shit is to me is the people who don't step up and tell you what's going on in the community when they know Lil Ray done shot this man for no reason or this boy for no reason. When they know the people who doing the crime and they too scared to step up and they say no snitching. I never understood that shit, no snitching, because I ain't finna go sit in cell for a motherfucker. I ain't finna go smell nobody else's shit and have to deal with this motherfucker. No, he did it right there. That ain't snitching. No, he did it right there. That motherfucker right there did. If it's gonna make our community better and make our community stronger, that motherfucker right there did it.
Yeah, but even to that, right? And I ain't saying snitch. We in an interesting system. I don't wish jail on nobody, right?
Right.
One of my best friends is probably second in command for the folk on Hustlers. Right? My daddy was a little man in stature. Right? My daddy passed away about 10 years ago.
Respect.
That man came to see my daddy. He was making sure he didn't smell like reefer. Right? He was crying when he left the room. You know what I mean? No matter who he is out there, the reverence that he had for him, a very little man in stature, put him back in that boyhood position. Right? Same thing in my neighborhood, man. I you know, them little boys, it ain't all tough rough. They see me as a staple. You know what I'm saying? Now, they don't exclude tough rough either. I will slap shit out you too. Right? And that's not even, but that's still in love. Right? I got little shooters. And I ain't necessarily even mad at the little shooters all the way. I just want you to understand what the target's supposed to be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not, I'm not saying it's one way.
Right.
Right? But that's kind of the beauty of the village that I had raising me. My father was very different than every man in that village. He knew them all, though. Think about that shit. So he probably wasn't as different as I think he was, because he knew them all.
Right.
But I know him as daddy.
Right.
And how he deals with me
Right.
is very differently than how he deals in the outside world.
Yeah.
But for him to even have that village to create for me, you was on something different.
Yeah.
You was doing something different. You know what I mean?
It was something
That you
different from
wasn't aware
outside
of.
the
It's
house.
something
Exactly.
else to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or you couldn't even build this village for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's a necessity, right? My
Yeah.
village look like that too, right? My son, 20 years old, he does what an average 20-year-old boy does in the city of Chicago. And I mean that in the sense of every little man is searching for somewhere to exhibit power,
Yeah.
right? And what we usually see, because of racism, is our only place to exhibit power is either with women or street shit. Right? So I got street partners, real street partners who lived their life and made their living in the streets. You think I ain't sent them with my son? You understand me? Go. But D ain't in the streets. I send my son over there too. I want you to get the full gamut, right? And whatever decision you make, stick with it and go hard at it.
Okay.
But you're going to have the brevity of understanding all of it and the consequences that come with it, because that's what manhood is, not the excuses. This is what it is. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Make a choice and stand on it.
So you saying you can't hide them from nothing? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I don't.
Well, that brings us to the next question. When you married, being married, like who do you put in? What's your priority?
Your pecking order,
Your
right?
pecking order.
Yeah. And then when you get married, who's the priority in the house? Is it
I've
the
been
man?
married for
Is it
damn
the
near
woman? Is
30
it the kids? Is it God? Like how?
What's the
who
pecking
gets
order?
once that food is cooked? Who gets their plate first?
I want to
does
hear
it
this
go?
shit. I want-
You looking for me
When
to
you
do
have
that?
your house
Nah,
in your
I mean-
household, how does it go?
I mean, neither one of us gonna shy away from a question. It's just
I ain't
you can go
finna shy.
first. Go ahead.
Me. I put me first.
the male or
No, me.
You.
Me. But understand, we gotta again back to what masculinity means and what leadership means. That don't mean you get the best this, right? That means you gotta carry the fucking load, right? So you gotta be healthy enough to carry the fucking load, because all of the load is gonna be on you. So yeah, me. I'm putting my mask on first. Me, because if me not healthy, y'all can't be healthy. But me being healthy is only in context to y'all's health.
I
Not
see. I
about me
hear it.
just
That's,
being
that's
first.
excellent. That's an
I
excellent
don't give a
answer.
fuck
Yes,
about
sir.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I hear that.
I think I'm listening to the answer, but the answer don't sound like it was to the question. What was the question again?
I think it was exactly the answer to the question.
That was it?
Is it a priority in your household? Like, who is the priority? Who's taking care of first? Is it the male, the female, the kids? Even God, I put all that in there. Like,
Well,
how
God
does your
supersedes.
house-
For me, God supersedes everything. But
That's he said. You know.
I ain't said that. I'm God. I didn't know that hard for a lot of people here. He just told you what daddy was. I'm standing on it.
yeah, no, that's
So-
true. For me, it's obviously it's God, but I take care of my wife first.
Okay.
And then the boys. And it's kind of, I mean, obviously, there are scenarios when you prioritize, but where my folks, I'm a newlywed too, so maybe that's why my answer is the way it is. Got married,
Congratulations,
yeah,
Yeah.
December 8th.
How
You know
long?
what I mean?
How long is the newlywed? How long?
December 8th.
December 8th.
Yeah, yeah,
Hold on, December, like a couple of weeks ago?
yeah.
December
Yeah.
8th?
I just got
Oh,
married.
man, a month ago. Congratulations, bro.
Right on. Hey, give us another shot. Something brown.
Something shot, auntie. Get him a shot. Something.
Know what I mean? No, don't give it to me now because my answers may sound different. Literally and figuratively. In this space that I'm in right now, and it was pretty much how I was raised, whether it was in my home or in church, my wife, she comes first, right? I take care of that. But my overall is my family. I take care of my family.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
So.
And how is it, Darnell, with you? So, would you get married? Did either one of you all have kids? And how is it accepting each other's?
Yeah. So I have no biological children.
Okay.
My wife has 2 boys. So I have 2 boys.
Okay, congratulations. And how was that? How was
Oh,
how was
man.
it building that relationship with the kids? And I don't know their father. How was that? Was that a dynamic? Is that a thing that was thought about?
So my wife got married like right out of college, like most relationships that, happen. Things happen. She got divorced. But then her last husband passed.
Oh.
So as far as the relationship, like early on, I already kind of knew, like, as guys, we meet women and like, oh, I'm going to take her serious, but not, I ain't going to take her serious, but no, this one right here is something special. Mm-hmm. So I knew very on that my now wife, was somebody special. So we just started hanging out. When I knew she had boys, I'm in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is somebody that I'm probably going to marry. So I had to start moving in a certain way, and I wanted to move. I've always felt like it's important to move a certain way when you're the kind of man that I am in this space, right? So the first thing I did was I led with respect with them, because they're people. Even though I'm a man, in my mind, it's like you got to lead with respect. I think that's something that's missing a lot when men come into like a woman's life and they got children. I'm the
How
man.
old were they? How old are they?
At the time, 10 and 19,
Okay.
18.
Okay.
So, but the relationship, we have a really good relationship now. You know, and this role of being a father is something else, man. I have my friends and everybody laughing. I was just telling a story recently and about like groceries and stuff like that. And I remember one day me and my wife were at the grocery store and the bill came. It was like $200 and some, and she was like, "You're not used to this, are you?" Because I was by myself.
Right.
That's all?
And I'm like,
said,
yeah,
That's all?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, you getting off good, brother.
Yeah, groceries expensive.
You getting off real good.
But you know, I can be here all night talking about how that relationship evolved with them, being their stepfather. But I think one of the things that really helped the relationship was my wife and her allowing me to be the person that I am, the person that she saw in me in their lives. You know, when I have conversations with them, whether it's something cool, loving, or like one of them stern conversations, there's been times when I'm at them about something and she'll walk out the room. And I look at them, they looking for her, and she gone. So she allowed me to develop a relationship with them. And I think that's dope, you know, because like I said, I can sit here and talk to you about the relationship all day and how it has evolved. And it's a different relationship, right? With one being grown, 22 now, and one being 13, he just became a teenager. The energy is different, you know, but the foundation of it is that I lead with respect, and I want to be there for them. I want to be there. And, you know, it's weird because I've always thought about being a father, and, you know, Tu and I have talked. There's been some Father's Days where, like back in the day, where I'm just like, man, I don't have no kids, you know, I want to be a father. And one time I got really emotional. One thing he said to me, and that really helped me was, dude, and I'm paraphrasing. He was like, dude, you are a father. He's like, you a father to my kids. You a father to, you know, a lot of different kids, you know, and that helped me out a lot, you know, just to hear that, because the truth of the matter is that when you're a certain type of man, you just move organically with certain types of behaviors. You know, you see something is out of order, you know, you ain't got to bark in the level of disrespect. I keep saying respect because I think that's important when, even with how Tu was talking about, like, walking out on the block and you see something bogus. You know, you move with a spirit of sternness, but the undertone of that is respect. And everybody wants to be respected. So whether a message is good or bad, it's hard to receive anything if it's disrespect. Right? Exactly. So, no, man, it's dope. We'll have to talk offline about some of the stories, man. Like I was talking about jelly. I talk about cutting off the lights, man. Like, this fatherhood thing is dope, man. I mean, it's challenging, but I would never change it.
It's a blessing.
It is definitely a blessing. So
well, you got a 13-year-old, right? I got a 13-year-old, and I know he's into the video games.
Absolutely, he's playing when I left.
Just like mine. So to get him off the game or to punish him, what do you use? Because I'm gonna tell you what my wife do. Like, when you get them off the game, how do you get them off that game like that? Because these kids are stuck on the game.
Let me see if I understand. You're saying, how do I get them off the game?
How do you get him off the game? How do you want to get him out of his room? It was just, it's not nothing serious.
So it's funny you say that, because even though I've spent a lot of time with him, I feel like I need to spend more time. I need to be strategic in the time that I spend with him. But the blessing is based off the relationship that I've built with him, if I say something to him, I don't get a lot of pushback, you know. And again, I lead with respect. You know, I try not to be, because I'm trying to find the sweet spot in how I communicate, discipline, you know, tell them to do certain things. You know, and the dope thing about it is that in some cases I bounce it off my wife. You know, I'm like, hey, listen, I did this. What you think? Because she's been a parent, and these are her boys. So I try to get intel from her, right? But in regards to the game, if I say, hey, man, let's go get this garbage, you know. And the other thing that I try to balance, the other thing I try to balance out is I'll do it with them.
Right.
You know, it's certain things I'm learning that it's one thing to tell them to do something, but it's a totally different energy depending on what it is when I'm doing it with them. You know, that's in corporate, some of the best leaders that I've had, they're doing it with me. Yeah. You're getting buy-in. Yeah. You know, and when you're talking about somebody that's 12 and 13, there's the spirit of fairness matters because this ain't fair. Why you know? Yeah. So, buddy. But I'm blessed in the sense where if I tell them to do something, they typically do it, and I'm saying that respectfully. You know, the one thing is you mentioned the game, but you didn't mention the phone.
Oh, that too. Shit, all that.
So,
Chromebook, the computer, all that.
So the one thing I've noticed is that they're distracted with a lot of things. If it's not the game, as you mentioned, it's the phone, right? And the one thing I do, like I'll say, hey, man, wash your clothes. And he'll wash them, but they'll stay in there for 2 days. Now you got now smells like Aldo. It's mildew. You too?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so, and it used to frustrate me so much. And the one thing I've done now is that, listen, when you're doing your chores, and the wife and I came up with the idea of just having them doing it on one day. While you're doing your chores, give me your phone. Whatever's distracting you, I'm taking it away. If it was the game, which is not with him, I'm taking the whole system. I'm taking the course to control. But it's about the distractions, And I feel like, and by no means am I telling you what to do, but I will make a suggestion. Like, I mean, I think we all learn from each other, and I'm gonna be learning from you brothers a lot but I think it's taking away some of the distractions.
Yeah, just cut the Wi-Fi off. Them motherfuckers are
Oh, I could do that on my phone. That's a good idea. Damn, I didn't even think about that.
Oh, that's what my wife do.
She cut the Wi-Fi off?
You can't get the little motherfucker out the room. You can't get him to do this. Cut the Wi-Fi off. 2 seconds later, hey.
The Wi-Fi.
The Wi-Fi off. Why my game not working?
That's a good idea.
Didn't I tell your ass empty that garbage? Didn't I tell your ass do this?
That's a good idea.
And they go boom, boom, boom. So that's why I was asking. But go ahead and ask the next question.
That's a good question. That's a good idea.
Off, I'm telling you, they gonna come out that room. Hey, Dad. Hey, my computer not working. Why the Wi-Fi off? Right. Didn't I tell your ass to go downstairs?
Mommy
whatever,
shut everything down.
Mama shut it down, baby. That's how you get them out. The Wi-Fi, cut that shit off. Watch it gonna come running out.
Hey, so this does transition to the next question.
Yes.
So we're talking about raising kids. What would you tell your 16-year-old self? I don't know what to say after that. What would you tell your 16-year-old self if you were a parent talking to yourself at 16? What advice would you give yourself?
Slow down.
Slow down. Because we move fast. 16, 17, we moving fast.
Slow
everything.
And I think context is everything, man. Through different phases in life, man, you get different perspectives. I started with saying at 25, my father was my best friend. In the beginning, I didn't like him. You know what I mean? So as you age, you get a different perspective. But living in these kind of cities, living in these kind of environments, like life is moving that fast, right? And you rarely paying attention. You just moving at the pace of life. And that's just not healthy. You know what I mean? That's oftentimes dangerous. So for me, talking to me, the main lesson would have been like, slow down, dog. You doing way too much.
Everything is a rush.
Yeah.
I'm ready to lose my virginity. Everything is just a rush. Everything, man. I'm just moving so fast. I think that is a great one. Just kind of slow down. Yeah, I wanted to hurry up and be an adult. I wanted to be an adult when I was 13. Now I'm an adult. I wish.
You wish.
Before you start paying bills, they're like, hey, where this shit come from? What do you mean? I gotta pay this every month.
Yeah.
But that's context too, and the environment is what shapes that, right? I credit Cedar Rapids for saving my life, hands down, right? But Cedar Rapids offered me an opportunity to slow down. You know what I mean? And oftentimes we think it's a choice. If you in the race, you better be running, right? So I think the environments that we in shape everything about our right? It's planned out from start to finish. We ain't even really making conscious choices in most instances. We're just going through the motions, right? But that's part of that problem I say about masculinity and manhood. If we don't stand up, then these are the motions. These are the outcomes, and we see them and they're negative. And we just keep letting this shit happen. We just keep going with the damn motions.
No, pump the brakes. But if you pump the brakes, you got to start being the decider. Now you got to be responsible, right?
Yeah.
Period. Right? Y'all ask who's first? Me. Because I am the barrier setter. I am the decision maker. That don't always going to work out in the good, but this is what we doing. I don't care what everybody else. This is what we doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Every now and then I hear men, even myself, what you on? I'm staying out the way. So just with hearing you talking, if I was just telling people, I stay out the way, man. I stay out the way. What do you think?
No, I'm getting in the way.
Right.
Staying out the way is bullshit.
Staying out the way is making it home safe.
Dependent. Right.
I think that's the objective when people say it.
If perspective, right? DJ said he grew up in Parkway, right? I spent probably from 6 years old to 20-some years old in Parkway every weekend, right? For those out of town,
Parkway,
you got
that's 63rd,
that's
right?
old block.
Old block,
For anybody who out of town, that's old block today,
Right.
So D was born there. I was basically raised in Parkway, right? In a lot of capacity. Think about the brand of Parkway today. When I was there, Parkway was the good neighborhood.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the projects was across the street, right? But because nobody has control, whatever brand happens, whatever moniker happens, everybody picks it up and runs with it, right? A few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, there was a front page newspaper headed in the Sun-Times that said 63rd King Drive is the most dangerous block in the city.
Yep.
That was 5 years ago, right? 63rd and Vernon today has $1.5 million houses called the Green Line Expansions. How does that work? Right? How does the most dangerous block in the city of Chicago in 5 years have $1 million homes? How was one of the top universities in all of America
University
in
of
less
Chicago.
than a mile away from 63rd and King Drive? Right? So all these things is happening in our face, and we allowing them to happen. And there's a design as to why they're happening. But we out the way. We stand out the way. So while the design is happening, you're becoming victimized by the design because you stand out the way. That's what you get when you stay out the way. You stay out my way, I'm taking that goddamn thing I want. Keep staying out my way. That's how I like it. Stay out my way. Right? But our role, if we're going to be the pillars of our community, no, you got to get the fuck in the way.
You gotta get in the way. You're 100% right, man.
That's hard.
You got to
I know
get
you
in the
said
way.
that ain't hard a little while
Yeah.
ago, but I see your perspective. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely see it.
The way you just explained it that way, yeah.
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 Right?
Yeah.
I just think people are like,
fuck in the way, goddamn.
want to make it home. They want to breathe. They want to live. I think people are afraid of their life. Let
I
me just
agree.
say it
But
completely.
that's not
point blank.
That's the coward move, right? And I know it sounds one way you hear me say it, but that's by definition, that's what that is, right? Because we assume that when we stay out the way, when we close the door, this shit goes away. My argument about saying there's Parkway is on 63rd, right? The historic gravestones of King Drive is less than a mile and a half away from that. It's not one of them that costs less than $2 million today.
You think Obama Center got something to do with that? Because that's Woodlawn.
No,
Is
it
that
ain't. It
Woodlawn
ain't went
too?
up
It's
yet.
right.
Oh, no.
It's right off
Right.
the line.
Right.
It
Right.
ain't went up yet because of Obama. It ain't went
Okay,
up
all
yet.
right,
To the
cool.
point-
I heard the
To the
price has
point,
been going
I'm
up
gonna give y'all
over there.
perspective though. To the point of staying out the way.
All right.
Right? University of Chicago used to be on 39th Street and not 67th Street.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
What happened? University of Chicago gave Jeff Fort money. They funded the Blackstone Rangers.
Yeah.
Right? And I ain't
Yeah.
knocking Jeff Fort.
Right.
But they funded the Black, and I ain't just talking about giving them money. They hid guns. This is all well documented. Right? He had guns and drugs in the University of Chicago in churches. Why are you in the church? Because police can't come in the church. Right? So they're moving above the law and getting funded by said university. Why do they do that? In the same neighborhood, they wanted to run down the property taxes, the property value, so that they could take the goddamn neighborhood
At cheap.
at a pennies on the dollar.
A cheaper rate.
The same shit is happening in the same neighborhood today. But everybody stayed the fuck out the way. And that's just one example.
They did the same thing by John Hope.
Right? That's just one example.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a new play. It's an old play. But we keep staying out the fucking way and acting like it's new shit.
Yeah, I'm just hearing the details of it is what's kind of making me take a step back.
Didn't I tell you this motherfucker was special when I seen his feet kicked up on the goddamn table?
Yeah. Herbert too. Yeah. What's up? Yeah. Herbert too podcast.
Didn't I
yeah.
tell you?
Yeah, you did.
D.
You did.
But it ain't about deep, G. I appreciate it. It's about gumption. I look, I said I'm God a minute ago, and I ain't lying about that shit. I mean it, right? But I'm studied, and I stand on the shit I say and be like, oh, he an arrogant motherfucker. Maybe I am, right? But I got way more value for gumption than I do for intellect. It don't take a whole lot of brains. It just take a whole lot
Talk
of
to me.
courage.
I'm sorry, gumption. Break that. What?
You got to be willing to do it, whatever it is. It don't matter who the smartest is. Who's willing to fucking do it? That's it.
Despite the consequence.
Despite the who's gonna stand on it, right? And when people hear me talk that way, because I stand on it, but that's also who my father raised me to be. He just talked about it. Yeah, nigga, who you say you what? Be that then, right? Not scared straight. You want to be a criminal? Be the best. Yeah, I'm standing on it, and that rubs most people the wrong way because so many people are cultured to be cowards. No, I'm not arrogant. I'm comfortable in who the fuck I am, right? And don't nobody define that but me.
That's hard. I don't know what to say after that, bro. I respect that. I respect that
shit
thought.
to say.
I
What do you
respect
mean
that
you don't
thought.
know what to say?
I respect that thought.
Next question.
His name is Two. His name is Two. Yes, sir. So, with that being said,
10 toes down.
is it affirmations? What is it that you're seeing black men out here doing that you actually respect, that you see us out here doing, or do you think it's more that we out here?
I'll let you answer that question.
Hey, man. Affirmations. Black men, we're out here doing this, and we should keep doing this, or we should be doing more of.
Go ahead, D.
It sounds like you revved up though too. Sound like
No,
you ready.
he in his element.
Yeah, I love it. Respect.
So I'll speak to, and I'm assuming you mean the ones that we know. It sounds like you meant like in general, but I'm just going to speak to the ones that I know.
All right, cool.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think showing up, well, not I think, but what I've seen is fathers showing up. And what I mean by that is I mean, I'm sitting next to one right now. As his son is trying to figure out life as a 20-year-old, you know, we can remember 20. You know, I was just speak for me. At 20, I was still kind of confused and trying to figure this thing out. I had some insecurities. I went through a level of depression because it's like I'm coming out of college and I'm trying to figure out manhood. So I'm in my early 20s, right? But he has a 20-year-old son that's trying to figure out life. Showing up is having real conversations. Even if this kid is clapping back, you know, I'm going through a little of that with my son at 22. He's trying to figure it out. We all tried to figure it out, right? But when you show up, these are things that not just with Toussaint, but I have other friends that are showing up and they're trying to figure it out too. And I think they're doing it from a collaborative standpoint. And it's tough sometimes because you have to push. You have to push a child, a young man, in a position or towards a direction that may be uncomfortable for them. You know, what I'm also seeing, and this is kind of a general thing, through social media, some of my friends and people that I just know of and got conversation. I think we're coming to a place where like we're in our 50s and you're seeing men be a little bit more nurturing and patient. You know, I got two guys in my mind. I don't want to name drop, but you know, they realize that early on in their child's life, they may have not parented properly. There were some things that they missed. And I think what happens is that we build a network of men and we're talking more. I think this is a great platform, by the way. I think you should continue to do this because I think there's an energy that's contagious when you get men to start talking. And it's normalizing these things, you know. But I'm seeing fathers like show up with the spirit of, I don't have the answers. I think my father and men of that generation, you know, we always had to have that. We always had to have the answer, right? Mm-hmm. I think what's happening now is there's an energy like, shit, I don't know, but we can figure it out.
Right.
And I just think that builds a different relationship that some of us grew up with.
Yeah.
So to your question, showing up. What does that look like? It's the things that I said, and there's a level of vulnerability in showing up. I don't have the answer. I'm seeking out, putting pride on the shelf a little bit. Pride is important, but it has its place, and sometimes we need to shelf it to get certain things.
Yeah.
So
I love that word collaborative. That when you said that, that really like stuck out of my head. That us men, we got to come together. You know, instead of feeling like we got to do it in our own little box.
And I'm sorry if I cut you off, brother, but I'm getting old and I may forget shit, so I got to cut you.
I was done.
I got to say that shit real quick before I forget it.
Right.
But the other thing is, and I know I mentioned my father earlier. I don't know if I made this clear, but if I did, let me make it very clear now. Me and my father have an amazing relationship. I mean, he stepped up for me when my mom passed. He stayed with me for 2 weeks after she passed. Like I said, he still lives in Mississippi, but he came here. And I knew that was a lot for him to leave his little acres of land to be here, but he came here to make sure his son was okay, right? And we have an amazing relationship right now. I don't know where the hell I was going with this. I just totally forgot.
So he moved from one state to another after
Yeah,
your
he
mom?
moved. Yeah.
Wow.
You was talking about collaborative.
Yeah.
It was somewhere I was going with it. I totally forgot. It'll come back to me in a second.
All right.
You can go ahead.
Two?
Yeah, I struggle, brother.
Yeah.
I struggle, brother. You know what I mean? It's not very many realms or arenas that I find respect for a lot of men I see. You know what I mean? But that's also because my value system is different. And that sounds one way, it's harsh sounding. And I don't want it to be as harsh sounding as it does come off as. Okay. But I think that the very essence and nature and culture of America quantifies value through things. So we start to create our value system through the lens of things, right? Success is quantified through what you have, where you live, you know, all them things. Like even when we like talking about my son, he's trying to figure it out. What does figure it out mean? What if that, like even, you know, you'll get a solution. What if there is no solution, right? There's this finality concept that goes with the construct of capitalism. Man, ain't no fucking finality. It's just a journey. Ain't no end to it. It's just a revolving door of more and more steps. So to what I do agree with D in context is just show up and just keep fucking going, right? But the J. Cole line, Herb says to me all the time, he's like, man, the good news is, man, we came a long way. The bad news is, man, we went the wrong way, right? I think.
Say it, wait, I'm sorry, I missed.
Damn, repeat
That's
that.
nice.
It says the good news is, man, we came a long way. The bad news is, man, we went the wrong way. Right?
That's heavy.
We keep chasing what another system says should be our goal. Right? We quantify value through the lens of capitalism. Our women judge us based on that. We judge ourselves based on that.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. And the system owns 98% of that. While lying to your ass to chase 2% of that. Like I'm studied, you can't tell me bullshit. Problem is, most of us ain't studied. We just do what the fuck the system say do. Run through the maze. Right? And in the midst of that, you losing shit. Right? You losing the value. I'm gonna push back. And this is just perspective based because I've been here, my son's 20. But he was a video game junkie too. That's bullshit. I should have been through that shit out the window.
Hey, man, don't go home throwing your kid video game out the
Throw
way.
that shit out the window. I'm not playing.
Hey, man. Hey, unless you taking a course in
Real
zoology,
shit. Listen,
don't do that shit.
No, man.
listen, y'all. I'm telling you, I'm
It's not
studying.
going how you throwing all
Look,
the games out.
the men who made them gadgets don't use them.
Yeah, that's probably true.
The men who made them gadgets don't fucking use them. Because they know what they do. They breed weakness. It's so much shit happening around that shit. That shit is like dope. G, would you give your kid
Oh,
heroin?
it's hard.
It is.
No, you wouldn't.
hard
But when
as
we
it
see
dope.
it from that context, we like, no, we gotta fuck that.
Man, you seen a kid
If they won't use it, why would you?
you see a kid respond when you take away a game or a phone?
Yeah.
Mine, not mine, but I've seen on
They have withdrawals.
Didn't I
Yeah,
say I
man.
cut the Wi-Fi
They
off?
lose
How they
they
come
shit.
out?
But we talk about kids though, y'all.
real.
It ain't just kids, it's us.
It's adults too.
We do the same shit. We're all being manipulated by the same behavior, but look at the lens and judge them. No, you got to correct you first. You got to correct you first. Then you can correct them. Right? But it's a journey. But what I mean about the weaknesses of, like, I read more than I watch television. As a matter of fact, I don't even watch television. I don't know what the fuck on television. Right? I don't know who's on the football team or basketball team no more. I just decided. I don't
That's
give
true.
a fuck about that no more. Damn. You know what I mean? I just don't give a fuck. Right? Because it's a revolving door. And what they do is they manipulate us through the lens of entertainment. And we just sit our ass down. We addicted to the same drug that Shorty's is. We sit our ass on the couch all day and watch mindless, numbness, dumb shit while the world's passing us by.
Hey, look at this shiny toy.
Right.
But they doing shit over here.
Yeah, and then you mad at Shorty for
Distracting.
doing the same shit all day long.
like the
What the
Republican
hell?
Party.
He's modeling the behavior that you
Right.
created. Right? And so much so that this becomes the norm. Right? But the shit has effects over time. We live in an interesting time because we came up in a world where that didn't exist at the same level. But it's only at the same level. Like, we all lived in a time where TV legitimately went off air.
Right, sure did.
You know what I
Sure
mean? It
did.
legitimately went off air.
Yep.
And what did that
That's
breed?
wild.
It breeded you
Yeah,
going
I remember
outside. It breeded you building. Y'all just said fucking kindergarten. My son ain't gonna never have that. Because his world ain't shaped the same. You can't pull up on no park in the city no more and see shorties out there hooping.
Yeah.
We
was
come
playing
from a
JRW.
world
We was
where
playing
that was
baseball.
very normalized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all kind of shit getting learned on that basketball court.
Yeah.
Right? You learning camaraderie. You learning some warrior shit. You becoming. That's why you shoot, because you ain't never had a fucking fight, you coward.
Yeah.
But those things are learned in those environments, right? When you start creating retardations, then you get retarded outcomes. That's the fuck it is. And then we
Yeah.
keep saying, why the outcomes retarded? It's illogical than a motherfucker to me.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Do you know I done burned Jordans in my back? No, nigga. I ain't honoring this.
I was mad when he
Burn
did
them
it.
up,
I'm
brand
like,
new,
man,
one
I
day
could
old.
have put them
Set
on.
that shit right on fire, because I don't give a
I
fuck
would
about
love
them
to know
Jordans.
what y'all conversations like driving in the car
Right?
together.
I done threw that game
would
system
love
out
to
the
hear what
window.
y'all
I don't
talking
give a
about.
fuck about
Yeah.
that game system. Right? But it's perspective. Over time, you grow, you learn, you do. You know what I mean? I got that game system for the same reason everybody do. When he doing that shit, he gonna leave me alone. No, I gotta pick up the weight.
You know, it's funny that two just mentioned like about the parks and like how kids don't play in the park and how we did. And earlier today, we were talking about like the men in your life, like who you learn from. Like, dude, we learn from our peers. Like, if you really think back to when we were younger and we're in the park and you playing ball or strike them out on the wall, you know, I'm dating myself when I say strike them out. You used to play strike them
Definitely
out.
play strike 'em out. I
Definitely
definitely
play
play
strike
You know what it is, though, right?
Wall
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Marcus Garvey, wherever.
Come
we
on,
play.
that's striking him out.
Yeah,
Marcus
yeah.
Garvey, dude.
But those experiences.
For the record, it was strikeout. It wasn't strike about.
No, we
Obviously, y'all didn't play.
Now, what do we play?
Strike
We
'em out,
play
strike 'em out.
right?
Strike out.
We play strike 'em out. Right?
It was strike 'em out.
It was
Wasn't it
they
strike
was
'em out?
y'all from.
Strike him out.
Oh, y'all from the
Wait, let's
suburbs.
do it both.
Right.
Strike 'em out,
Strike 'em
right?
out.
Strike 'em out. You.
Oh, y'all from the
50
birds.
cent
Whatever.
rubber ball.
Strike 'em out.
Right, right,
Owls, yes we did.
right. But in those experiences, interacting with friends, getting into fights, losing fights. I mean, we talked about childhood friends. One of my closest childhood friends is a dude named Dion, and we still keep in contact to this day from '83. Right? He came to my 50th birthday party. But me and that dude, he was like the Toussaint back then. He was like my best friend back then. They met each other at my 50th, right? But it was crazy because he and I got into like the most fights. Like there would be times where we would fight and it was usually over basketball, right? But we would get into fights, but shit, an hour after that, you know, so it's about, so the lesson there that I think that I learned is about conflict resolution. You know what I'm saying? Checking your pride when needs, because it's embarrassing. You lose a fight, you take an L. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got to come outside
Yeah.
the next day after
Now, for the record, I ain't lose all of them, shit. You know what I'm saying? But my point is, it's not even about the wins and losses. It's how do you move forward when you have those experiences, and the feeling that you get when you have those experiences, the feeling you get from a loss.
Yeah.
And how do you manage
Yes.
that?
Yes.
And unfortunately, we've seen so many times in our community where it doesn't play out well because you don't lose well, right? So I don't know if I went off on a tangent.
Yeah.
But I just thought it goes back to that question or that scenario of what did we learn? And you don't learn that nowadays because they're not in the parks.
Right. You in your room. They in their room.
They in their
The
room.
game. No social interaction.
Right, no social
Not
interaction,
learning
you
it,
know,
yeah.
so.
And they moving
Yeah.
through fear, y'all. Right? It's all fear. It's all fear, right? Just like you said, the embarrassment, right? It's hyper. It's all hyper. The behaviors really ain't different, G. It's just hyper, right? It's just hyper. So
What
you
you
go
mean by
outside
hyper?
and you embarrassed because the 5 people that was there saw you get your ass whooped. Well, now they done filmed it and 500,000
No.
people have seen you get your ass whooped.
Right,
No,
right,
that's a
right.
different
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
different
yeah,
feeling.
yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
different feeling,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But again, hyper, right? When I got fresh, I wanted my 3 homies to know how fresh I got, and every woman that I saw that day. Now it's 500,000 people got to see how fresh I get. So now I'm gonna do a credit card scam because Jordans ain't good enough. Now I need Balenciagas. It's just hyper, y'all.
Yeah.
Right, but we keep justifying. It's again capitalism, quantified success
Yeah, that's
through
a very good
materialism.
point.
It
Yeah.
just is 2 things, right? And when it's hyper, it is what it is, right? So we are at a point where, think about this, man. When we were shorties, my first car was a Cutlass. I had Billis rims and Billis steering wheel. Why did I have a Cutlass with Billis rims and Billis steering wheel? Because all the dope boys had a Cutlass with Billis rims and Billis steering wheel. And you couldn't tell me they wasn't the coldest dudes in the world.
Yeah.
But I knew 10 of them.
Yeah.
Right? Today, shorty, like, I need a Bentley. Right? My nephew went to prom last year. His dad got him like a Tesla. The parents of the girl was like, nah.
Oh, shit.
Wait, what? Nah. Again, quantifying through things. So even her parents are creating a world where they got to take pictures of her getting out whatever new car they didn't rent it because the Tesla wasn't good enough.
Tesla wasn't good
Right?
enough.
Matter of fact, ain't whatever. A Phantom pulled up.
Damn.
Right, a Phantom pulled up. Y'all know what a Phantom costs? A Phantom costs a house. Why is an 18-year-old got to be in that? When I remember my sister went to prom, and she only a couple years older than me. She was glad to go in the Chevy. I was glad to have a car to drive.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, so things get hyper, and the behaviors to get to that hyper, it's just like anything else, man. You think at the highest level of industry, corruption don't happen? Because the money's hyper. And it's the same behaviors that play out in O Block today. It's the same behaviors that play out the bottom. The top and the bottom are the same behaviors. We judging the value of those behaviors through the outcomes, though. The dude in O Block is wrong when the dude who owns Coca-Cola is cool. Fuck that. They both wrong. But we only judging one. The one who's losing at the money game.
Yep.
Man, fuck that.
Yep. The one who's losing at the money game.
Fuck that.
That's it.
Yeah.
The one losing at the money game, he gonna go to jail and he not gonna be able to get out because he can't post bond. The one who did the same type of crime, he gonna get out of jail the next day because he got the money.
But we all are having these same behavior traits. We all aspire to the same shit. For me, man, I wanna disrupt that idea, even if it's just for my babies. Fuck that idea, man. Ain't no value in that.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing a good job. You're doing a
I'm fighting the
good
world, though.
goddamn
So I don't know if
job,
I'm doing
man.
a good job.
Yeah, you are.
Because I'm fighting the world. My daddy tried to do the same shit.
Hey,
It took me to 25. Had I not gotten to 25, he'd have lost.
as long as you can reach one, you reached enough.
Hadn't you not got to 25, what?
He would have lost.
Your dad would have lost?
He would have lost.
Because you were not here?
Because I would not have had the perspective that I gained later in life.
That's how I fucking feel, bro.
Yeah.
That's how I fucking
I feel the same
bro.
exact way, and I
That's
still
how
got my
I
baby.
swear to God,
I feel the
carry
same way,
that
and I still
shit.
got my baby.
Yeah.
I know what he up against.
'Cause I
and
know
he
if
can't
he
hear
would've
me
made it
because the
too
system is
mature.
that fucking loud.
Yeah.
And I was the same person. You can't tell me it's no different. He want Cutlass with Billups and Billups steering wheel. The goddamn rims cost more than the car. You understand? My daddy said, you an idiot when I bought that car. He told me, you an idiot. That car got stolen from me 5 times.
I'm laughing because I can hear him say it.
That car got stolen from me 5 times. And I got it back all 5 times because I'm plugged enough to say, run that. Right? But who the fuck want to be in the car that you go outside in the morning, you don't know if it's going to be there?
Why would you get that car?
Why would you get that? He was right.
I'm laughing because I did. They had an 83 Regal. That motherfucker got stolen.
Yeah,
just
why
like
would
that.
you do it? He was like, you're an idiot. But I couldn't hear it then.
Yeah, because I had to have that.
I had to have it.
Capitalism.
I had to have
I
it.
had to
That
have
was
that.
it. That was
Couldn't hear it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So as you grow, your perspective should grow.
Yeah.
Tell me about an intellectual. When I looked at your pie, you refer to yourself, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Intellectual thugs.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I want to know about that.
And I'm hearing it though. I'm hearing it right now. I'm hearing the whole intellectual thug. But in your brain, what is that?
Me, right? I could go in the. I'm comfortable. Let me say this: I'm comfortable having conversations with any level of person, right? And I'm also comfortable in any project building, any block too. I'm comfortable, right? I'm not afraid of none of that shit. I'm a man of the people. It's value in being smart, but it's value in being. I say it right, gumption, right? I got gumption too. I'm not scared of your ass because I define me. And that's at every level, from the nigga with the pistol to the nigga with the pen. None of y'all is a threat to me because I define me. I'm the god of this universe. That's it.
Love it. I love it. Would you consider, and this is just off the cuff, would you consider yourself a house nigga or a field nigga?
I'd be considered myself a dead nigga because it wouldn't have been going. It's what it is. We gonna die
So
today.
you, Kunta Kinte, you getting whipped
We
with
gonna
that
die
whip.
today.
He telling you to
Somebody
say your
going
name.
with me. It's a team trip.
It's a team trip.
Might not make it all the way, but somebody taking this ride with me.
Okay.
I like that.
That's cool. You said one of the things I saw also. First, let me just Herbert too. Let me give a shout out to that, man. I definitely think you have a great platform. Herbert too, man.
Yeah, I like y'all show.
Yeah,
I like y'all podcast, man. I checked it out. Yeah, that's
that intellectual thug, and I love it, man.
and the way you just defined it. Yeah. I like that.
It's
man.
the goal, man, is high level conversations with language that everybody can understand.
Yeah.
Right. Obama was on something not too long ago, and he was like, "Man, you get in the rooms, you realize very quickly that these people are not they're not who you think they are."
I saw that.
Right? It's elected officials. I was just having this conversation yesterday. I swear that my hand for God. Because of the kind of life I live, I get into like a lot of rooms. It's elected officials in this city that I know can't read.
Oh shit.
Get out of here.
Oh,
That's
shit.
what the fuck you want.
Oh shit. That's
That's
another.
Oh man.
I'm talking about $100,000 jobs. Again, right? We don't know because we stay out the fucking way.
motherfuckers at my
Right?
job.
All you got to do to be an alderman is have a goddamn high school diploma. Most aldermen, with the exception of maybe 4 wards, get elected with less than 2,500 votes. That's a small church. It's a $100,000 job where you work less than half a day.
And you can still get
And
another
we
job.
put the people on the pedestal like they're special. I'm telling you, some of these motherfuckers can't read.
Wow.
But again, we stand out the way. We don't even know, right? Vast majority of elected positions in America don't take a college degree. It ain't nobody in Congress that ain't a millionaire. We don't even know this shit.
Is it wrong if a person can't read? Is it wrong if
No,
a
I'm
person
not-
don't finish 12th grade, but
I'm
they can
not
build a
saying that at
house?
all.
Like, I still feel like it's value in that person. Just because they didn't get this piece of paper saying you did not complete 12th grade.
It
that
sounds
does not
like
mean
you was trying to put it in perspective, not necessarily.
He-
It's
I
a
don't think
perspective that
was
he's
degrading.
trying to.
He wouldn't sound like he
Yeah,
was
it's
degrading.
just
not
putting
at
it in
all.
I understand
perspective
what he was
a
saying.
certain aspect. Yeah.
I think it came out wrong. I wasn't saying that. I wasn't saying
I can
you was
see how-
putting it
I can
in-
see
no,
how
I
you
wasn't
picked up on
saying
that.
though. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was just saying actually I agree with
To-
you. You know what I'm saying? Just because somebody can't read and write don't mean that they're not.
To the point of the
can't
kind
be.
of children I raised, right? My daughter hits me with this shit all the time. My daughter about to be 16. Daddy, we don't need no white man's paperwork. And I stand on that.
Yeah.
That's not
That's
the
You
why I
said paperwork.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't need no
A
white
diploma,
man's paperwork. None of that.
you know.
None of your paperwork validates me. And I'm with that. So I'm
But
not
then they
saying
gonna
that at
have it
all.
like if they try to go into a system of corporate job, if you don't have that, then you're not good enough. You see it
Again,
if you don't
right.
have that white
But
man.
how
I'm
many-
not
how-
paperwork,
how many
you know?
kids
I don't know
going
if that's
to
true
corp-
because I know
Outrage.
people that's in corporate.
You
that
can't be
don't
no
have the-
teacher. You can't be a fireman if you don't. You can't be a policeman if you don't have a high school diploma. Correct.
Not even
Yeah,
high
so
school. You gotta
that's
have a
what I'm saying.
college diploma being a cop or fireman. You just can't have a high school diploma.
You can sell chicken with lemon pepper, and they make more money than all them.
You say what?
I said you can sell chicken with lemon pepper, and they make more money than all
Oh
them.
yeah, open up your own shit.
It's how we think about things, y'all.
Yeah.
Right? Somalians got the parking industry, right? The Asians got nails. The Arabs got corner stores, right? again, back to us staying out the way, right? And it ain't even a money conversation, but if we gonna have a money conversation, this is true story. I remember my son played ball. He was a real touted high school ball player for a little while, right? I remember one day we walking in, they had like the NBA Live, new poster on the thing or whatever. He was like, Daddy, and he's young. Daddy, one day I'm gonna be on one of these posters. I was like, man, I salute that. He was like, man, I'm gonna be so rich. I said, that's great. So I said, man, look, if you love basketball, I want to see you reach every level of height that you can reach in basketball. But if it's about getting money, these motherfuckers over here cooking this lemon pepper chicken making more money than a lot of them motherfuckers, bro. And it don't take as much work.
Yeah. Yep.
This the real.
And I feel like, as far as being a teacher, that a lot of my students are looking more entrepreneurial.
They are.
I see that a lot.
That's the thing with the younger generation. Is more entrepreneurs.
And I think
than
it's a
ever.
great thing, too.
Entrepreneurs and car crackers.
So to that point though, right, it's about for us paying it's us paying attention to. I ain't mad at that either.
I'm just saying, entrepreneurs and car crackers. That's what these motherfuckers are.
Hustlers.
I mean, shit.
Yeah.
Most wealth is quantified through the lens of theft, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They stole our legacy
You
years
gotta
ago.
look how United States was built.
Yeah.
To substantiate that statement.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's the end. I'm just again how we value things. Even when, I mean about gumption, right? Like point of me talking about my father and my experience with him, or me having an affinity for Twan down the street who hustling at 18, right? Like we live in an interesting time too. Context is again everything, right? So I'm of the crack generation, right? Which was on the heels of the heroin generation, which was on the heels of what's the war?
The GD and the BD wars?
No, Vietnam. On the
Vietnam,
heels of
oh,
Vietnam, which was on the heels of the Civil Rights Movement. This is all very interesting to me.
Okay.
Right? I'm born in 76. King dies in 68. Perspective is a motherfucker. Right? 8 years before me getting here, they had signs that said my nigga ass couldn't drink water somewhere. This is 8-year difference.
Yeah.
Black and white fountain.
Right? And we look at the world through a lens like that shit is different now. That was 8 years before I showed up. This shit ain't gone. Right? So, but if you think about that in context, right? We come from King down in 68. There's a prison population boom in the 70s. Crack explodes. Fathers and mothers disappear from the community. Right? So I'm idolizing Twan, who's 18, 19, but he got the cutlass with Billups. Right? My daddy worked hard than the motherfucker. He ain't got no cutlass with Billups. Right? So back to hyper, right? So now I'm quantifying value because I'm young and I got a young man's perspective, right? I want the Jordans. Fuck what you talking about. I want, you know what I mean? The girls like him, right? I want to be him. You understand me? And again, small little environment that I can see the world through. Small lens I'm seeing the world through, right? It's only 10 of you cats getting a little bit of money because y'all ain't getting no real money. My daddy probably had more money than y'all because y'all still living in your mama house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's the presentation, though.
But right, so I'm quantifying my value through that lens. So I'm mimicking their behaviors.
Yeah.
Right? But again, even me saying getting to 25 changed my perspective. I don't value things. Right? I value relationship. I value love. I value that.
Yeah.
I value health.
Yeah.
A lot of people still value things post 25. Right? And your kids mimic that too. They see that in you too, because the things are more important than even them. Mm-hmm. And they know it. Mm-hmm. Right? And we think we're doing the right thing. And I'm not even blaming it because it's the idea of the country. Mm-hmm. Right? I spoke at a high school not too long ago, man. I was like, man, what makes y'all happy? And it's like being able to get the things I want. Well, they make new things every fucking day. And if you chasing that, then you ain't gonna never be happy.
And if for
Things get
circumstances
made every fucking
you
day.
can't get those things, you're not happy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and I don't know what happened in that conversation, but I think that needs to be challenged. Yeah. Like for everybody in general, but you're talking about kids. Like, if things make you happy, if you can't get things, then what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that can be presented to a young person as a rhetorical question or no, answer that. Answer that, and they may not be able to answer it. But it's one of those questions that I think will linger and it will follow them. Shit, it should follow. It should have followed some of us. You know, because we chase things too, and you take things away. Now what?
Yeah.
You know, the wife and I had a conversation. We always have like, you know, different conversations around happiness. You know, and I think it's a dope question. Whoever watching this, whenever it views, think about what makes you happy, and ask why. Why do those things make you happy? Things don't make me necessarily happy. I was one of those kids. You mentioned Jordans. I was one of those kids. I didn't have Jordans. My mom, grandmother couldn't afford it. Right. I got my first pair of Jordans like 4 years ago. So, but I get it. I get it what it represented in our community.
Yep, I've had every pair of Jordans. You had every pair, probably 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But context is still important. Though,
Yeah.
Right? My man was like, you want them, you get them.
You get them.
So there's some work ethic attached to how I was raised, right? I always knew I could get them. Shit, I didn't appreciate why I didn't like them, because my homies got them too, but they had to do what I had to do to get them.
Right.
Right? But at 25, I know how to go get.
Yeah.
I'm a farmer. I can go get.
Yeah.
I'm a fisherman. I can go fish. Right? They got. I had to go get. It's a difference.
Yeah.
Right? So even in getting them, chasing the materialism, he was forcing me to learn some lessons. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I had watched, to support what you all said, I think it was Will Smith. And he was talking about how he was buying things. I hope it was Will Smith, buying things to make him happy. And he said he got to a point that he bought everything. Now what?
I saw that.
Now, you saw that? That
Yeah,
was,
that was
he
Will Smith.
like, now what? You know? Money can't buy happiness.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah, and I think you have to go through life. You have to have certain life experiences. You know, in a perfect world, which we know it ain't perfect, but in a perfect world, you just get that. You get that message, right? But what I think's happened for a lot of us is we go through life experiences and the things that we think made us happy. You realize you kind of back into that answer and realize like, oh, this shit doesn't make me happy. So now it's the journey and what makes you happy. And the truth of the matter is I think as we go through life, that changes, right? And that's through various experiences in life.
Yeah.
You know, it changes your perspective. Like when I know I mentioned my mom passing, that shit changed perspective of everything for me. You know what I'm saying? I slowed down a lot. It's, you know, how I value relationships, friendships. And when I say relationships, I mean not necessarily romantically. I mean every relationship.
Yep.
You know, just put it in perspective of what's important.
Yep. That's what makes me happy.
Yeah, and I think we live in a life, man, where, you know, we always say, man, this shit is going fast. You know, we just passed the New Year's, right? So people are like, man, that year went by fast. Yeah. And I was just having a conversation like, man, why this shit going so fast? Because we're busy. And the one thing I'm doing, and I've been doing probably for like the last year or two, is slowing this shit down. You know, I'm in corporate America where it's always demands and sales and stuff like that. You know, you got your family life. That's 8 hours a day here and shit, and you sleep. Hopefully you sleep and get rest, right? But this shit is moving so fast, I got to slow it down. And then slowing it down, I am asking myself some of them questions about, like, what makes me happy. And they're not things.
Yep. Definitely not things.
They're not things.
It's definitely the people. It's the relationships that I've built.
Yeah.
Family, friends. Somebody like, what you doing, man? Come over and watch the game. Like, it's just stuff simple as that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Calling y'all. Y'all like, yeah, Greg, I'm going to come ride on you. You know, just things like that. It's just, it makes me happy.
Why you don't never call me to come watch the game?
I call you all the
What's this
time.
about, man?
Shut up. See, he always got jokes. Hey, last question, man. We're going to wrap it up, man.
This dude, man. You
A
don't
love
call
letter,
me,
man. Y'all was to give a love letter to y'all child, that things that they might not see that y'all doing, or something that y'all may not have said to them, or I don't know, just what would you like for your kids to know about you as far as being their parent and you appreciating that they're here, I guess.
I'll go. So in this space of, what are you laughing at?
What happened, man? What I missed? What y'all on me doing?
What happened?
no, I'm just looking at my man. He's like, you gonna go? Go ahead.
Yeah. You know, this space of fatherhood is very interesting in the sense where I'm seeing a lot about me, right? Seeing who I am, some of the the areas of that I need to work on, but this space of being a father is very interesting in the sense where I'm seeing them in a short amount of time. I'm seeing them grow and evolve, right? So to your question, one of the things I would say, and I'm not going to say it like a letter because I didn't know that question. If you would want me to write a real letter, I would have wrote a letter and just read it.
That's not what I was asking.
Yeah, but I
He is shot for real and shit.
yeah, I
Size
am
of these moments, y'all. Y'all gotta give us
Yeah.
space.
yeah. So man, shut up, dog.
No, I'm serious.
So, I mean, I think it's a
We
very
humble.
interesting question because like I said, this space is new for me. You know.
Yeah.
But what I would say to them is that I am very curious to see who they are going to become. I think they're going to be. First of all, I think they're going to be good men, good people.
Both boys?
Both boys.
Okay.
22 and 13 now. I'm proud of you because I see, even though there's, they're 22 and 13, we know what that comes with. It comes with not being responsible, not necessarily listening. But the one thing I would tell them is that I am very proud of who you are, the men that you are becoming. I think they have a very dope foundation, a very solid foundation, not just from their mom, who's an amazing woman and a mother, but I know their story. She tells me stories. There are other family members that I've met. They've embraced me. So I've learned who my sons are now and who they've been through the eyes of others that have welcomed me, right? My oldest boy, I'm very excited to see who he's going to be, good, bad, and indifferent. I think he's evolving into that space because I think, like all of us, he's trying to figure it out. And even though he moves in this spirit of confidence, to what Tu said earlier, it's a word that I think is present with him and has been with all of us, and that's fear of not knowing what the next steps are. I would tell him that that's okay. You don't have to have it right now. It's okay. You're going to get the answer. I think one of the biggest challenges that we all struggle with is feeling like we have to have the answer right now, and you don't. You don't have to have the answer, but you can't put yourself in a situation where even when you do get the answer, you can't move effectively through life. My youngest boy, I would tell him also that I'm proud of him. I see his confidence getting a little bit better in certain areas. And I would tell him to be patient. Just be patient in life, because I wish somebody would have told me that. Just be patient. It's going to come. Certain things are going to come. But I think the foundation of all of it is that I'm proud of the men that we're becoming.
Love it.
Uh-oh. No.
That's a heavy question.
Interesting, right? Because I got a girl and a boy. Right? And I expect certain things from my boy. I want for certain things from my girl. And it's an interesting thing in me that I'm personally dealing with. Right? I know I've made my son's life hard. You know what I mean? Very much like my father made my life hard. You know what I mean? And I think the relationship is very similar to my relationship with my father, right? I think I idolized my father even when I didn't like him. And I think it's the same with my son. I don't think he particularly likes me in this moment. But I know he idolizes me, right? And I want him to know specifically that the journey that he faces is going to be a rough one, right? But it still has a great value. The journey has more value than the destination, right? And to survive the journey, you got to learn to love you, You got to be completely in love with you. You know what I mean? And don't let nobody take you off that path, right? In loving you, right? If you love you, all other things will fall into place. And I would say something similar to my daughter, but again, my expectations or the difficulty level, I guess you could say, isn't the same. Or at least for me. I don't challenge my daughter in the same way that I challenge my son. And she brings out something different in me than he brings out in me. You know what I mean? And I guess that, I don't know, it's interesting, right? I read somewhere a long time ago that says that a boy's self-esteem is built through the lens of the relationship with his mother.
His mother. Mm-hmm.
And that a girl's self-esteem is built through the lens of the relationship with her father. Like, I think at this stage in my life, my perspective is very interesting and it's built in this kind of man law versus universal law kind of energy I'm always battling between, right? And I think it shows up in those relationships specifically because I'm powerless with my daughter. And I've been powerless since she got here. You know what I mean? Even when I try to be, it's like, and she knows it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, whatever, dog. I'm going to do what I want to do and you going to fall in line.
Yeah.
My son, it ain't never been that. You know what I mean? He knows the difference. You know what I mean? But I think it plays out differently with maybe his mom. So, yeah, just, know that I tried my best, man. Know that I failed, and I'm going to continue to fail. You know what I mean? But know I always get up. Right? And I'm going to show you the failures, and I'm going to show you me getting up. You know what I mean?
Powerful.
And don't judge either one, because neither of them matter. Just keep going.
Just keep going.
Keep going.
Just keep going. That's a powerful way to end this one.
God
just
damn.
Keep going.
Just keep going.
I want to thank
Any
you,
final
brothers.
thoughts?
I want to thank you, brothers, for letting me
I appreciate
sit
you
up
for
here
having us, man.
with the alphas.
Sit up here.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just with the knowledge that you brothers have, man, and the jewels that y'all was dropping.
See, I know
Yeah,
that about
see
Alpha.
that?
I know that.
I think he did that by mistake.
I did.
It's 7 of them.
He did that by mistake. I don't even think he realized what he did.
I don't, man. But
That's my partner right
hey,
there.
I just want to thank y'all.
Hey man, don't be
for coming
sharing
on,
history
man.
with him, man.
I didn't do it.
How he know Jules?
I did not do it, man. Do not put me in.
That's just what I call nuggets. I say nuggets.
No, man.
Dropping them
Listen.
nuggets
That was a
on
powerful
us,
word.
man.
Yeah, man. And thank you for having us, man. Thank you again. I pray that you continue to leverage this platform, man. I know me and Tu, when did we do that Father's Day thing?
It's been Father's Day. I don't know.
No, when we met at the restaurant.
No, it wasn't Father's Day?
I think it was around Father's Day. It wasn't Father's Day per se, but I think things like that and this platform where you get men in a room. I mean, I know when we did it, it was something that I presented to Tu, and I was like, for fatherhood, for Father's Day. And at the time, this was before I even met my girl, right? Or my wife now. I thought it'd be a good idea to get certain men in a room and just talk about fatherhood. Now, yeah, we had a list of questions, but when you get certain type of men in a room, you can have a list of questions, but you ask the right question and it's going.
Yeah.
And you probably don't even get to some of them questions.
Yeah. That happened.
I call that beautiful. I think it's dope, And at the time, we had selected men in that room. I purposely reached out to each one of them because it was something in them. And again, I wasn't in the space that I was in now. I was aspiring to be a father. I wanted to be a father, right? I knew God gave me certain aspects of fatherhood, parenthood, but more importantly, specifically fatherhood, right? And I got energy from a lot of them guys. There was something about them that I respected. And it was dope. I say all that to say that was a platform, this platform, I think it's needed, man. I don't think we hear it enough. I think we hear it I think it's whispered in rooms and, definitely not on social media. On social media, it's a mess how manhood is perceived, and we, unfortunately, we play a role in that shit. So keep up your platform, man. I hope opportunities present themselves to you that you're not even aware of now, because it's needed. And you have a level of vulnerability. You care. That shit is important. You genuinely care.
I do.
it sounds crazy when you say, "Oh, you care," but no. Some people say they care, and maybe they care, maybe they don't. You care, ain't no maybe. And this is me. The few times that we've talked, there's an energy, there's a spirit that you have. You care, so don't take it for granted. Keep going.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you, brother. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, get you a shirt that say "Keep going."
Keep going. That's what we gonna do.
Keep going.
Daddy's podcast. Peace.
Peace.
What's up, man? Thank you, brother.
Man, that was awesome, bro.
Oh, man.
Keep going.
Keep going. Don't ask me to scroll.
Oh, shit!